Hey traders, Mark here. It's Sunday, April 22nd. Well, I saw, Matthias, I saw your comment on the last video about how messy this chart is. And, sometimes I forget that, I can see through all of the clutter. And I do agree with you, man. It's really messy. So what I thought I would do is actually try and clean it up for you so you can get an idea of what it would actually look like. And I mean, there's a problem with doing that in the way that it sits, because once the indicator is coded, these lines will actually disappear. But the only way I could replicate it was by setting up a new chart and then actually drawing in horizontal lines. So the issue with that is the lines go all the way, back, all the way left and all the way right. So here's what I wanted. Here's what I did. I put ellipses, blue ellipses for long areas, and the blue line for a long area. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete them as I scroll forward here. Okay, so what we'll do is just kind of walk through this, and I'll just get rid of these lines as we start scrolling from left to right. So you can see right here, I would have had a long entry, but it actually never set up, because you can see that price never ticked above the high of my entry bar. So I never would have had a trade here. So now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this line so that it doesn't confuse me as we start scrolling to the right. Now, none of these lines are relevant because you don't see an ellipse next to it. And I'll try to go fast, but again, I just want you to get an idea of what this would look like. So you would have had a line that popped up right here. Here's your red ellipse. So this is your line. Okay, that worked out all right. So let's go ahead and get rid of this one. So again, try to visualize this with me. These lines down here would not be here. So you would have had you obviously wouldn't be taking this one because you still would be short from up here, right? But this was a line, so I went ahead and printed it. So now we'll get rid of that, and we'll move forward to the next ellipse. Okay, here's the next ellipse it prints. Let's see if we get down to the line. Now this is interesting. I'm not really sure which which one of these lines is associated with this ellipse. I believe it's actually this bottom one. This one right here. Okay, so here's an ellipse and here's a line, so you'd be looking for a long right here. Now again, this is not using any trend direction, right? This is just strictly using these lines. So there would be another nice trade. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I would have had wow, why did I make that ellipse so darn big? Okay, so this line here would have been printing after this price action. So this is not a short here, okay? And same with this area as well. It would be printing after this area. I know it might be a little bit difficult to visualize. Okay, here's this ellipse will be associated with this line right here. So there's your entry, and that would have been a loss. Now we can get rid of this line. Let's get this thing, start cleaning it up. Okay, where were we? So we still have these lines up here from this action. Now I don't know if you'd want to actually take those trades, because by the time we get up there, you're going to have a whole different set of price action, right? Okay, this line would have printed from this action, and again, there would have been no entry. Are you guys kind of getting the idea of what this will look like? This is kind of how I like when I build systems. This is kind of how it starts, and it's why it takes me so darn long. I go through lots of iterations. So you would have had an entry here. And it would have been a loss. And then you would have had an entry here for a loss. Okay, there's a blue line. Now, okay, it looks like we're actually coming into the red lines that printed from. Oh, wait, never mind. No, we're not. Those are way up there still. Okay. All right. Well, here's a blue ellipse associated with this blue line. And you can see there would not have been an entry there. So we'll get rid of that one. And then this red ellipse will be associated with this red line. Clearly not an entry. So we'll get rid of it. I'm sorry if you hear my daughter. She is talking in the background. This ellipse is associated with this red line. Would have been a nice trade here, so we can go ahead and get rid of this red line. And then this top red line is associated with this ellipse. But I wouldn't be taking back-to-back trades like that, right? So I'll go ahead and get rid of that top red line and this ellipse. You're kind of getting the idea, right? It's going to look a lot cleaner than what you saw in that chart. But thanks, Matthias, for pointing it out. Okay. Okay, so now you have a new ellipse here associated with this red line. Really nice trade off of that one. So we'll get rid of it. Oh, double. Okay, move forward. It's hard to see the blue line in here, but you have a blue line that's right here. Would not have had an entry there because it never set up. So we'll see if I can get rid of that blue line. Oh, I got rid of the wrong one. I'll get rid of this ellipse, and I'm going to turn this line red. They're at the same place anyway. Okay. Here's a red ellipse associated with this red line. Got a decent trade there. So you can see, guys, it looks to me like it's increasing the probabilities very nicely and reducing the noise. Okay, there's a blue ellipse associated with this blue line. Okay, got a nice little trade there. So we can get rid of that one now. And then you have a red ellipse right there associated with that red line. Never would have had an entry. Then we have some, looks like some old blue lines. And then, you know what? There's those red lines from. Oh, wow. Hey, here we go. Look. I didn't see this before. So you had, you see this line actually ended up coming into play. Let's see where that top one's from. So you have one from right here. And you can see that actually played off really nicely right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this bottom one because it did play off of that line. Okay. Now we're back into some more recent action. All right. So we have this blue line, this blue ellipse associated with this blue line. We have this red line right here associated with this red ellipse, and that would have been a loss. And you actually would be long right now off of this line. Okay, so you would have had this blue line associated with this blue ellipse, never would have had an entry. So we'll get rid of that. You would have had this blue line right here associated with this blue ellipse. You would have had an entry there. So it would have been a loss, and then you would be long right now. So where is this one? This is probably that last red one back right there. Okay, so let's see how that one did when price hit it. I mean, you did get some action there, but you never would have had an entry because you can see the price closed above it with a full body close. So I never would have traded off of that line. And then the only other line left is this blue one. Oh, you know what? Here's the blue ellipse associated with that bottom blue. You never would have had an entry there, so that one's gone. So that just leaves you, with a line right there. And so, look, a lot cleaner, right? I don't have any other lines left. Anyway, I hope that makes more sense. So keep in mind, guys, anytime I'm building a system, I mean, I'm going to go through 10 different versions before I actually come to a final version. It just takes a long time. And the way that my mind works is once I have a system put together and I can actually get it coded, I will spend the money to get that coded. And then, I'm constantly testing new stuff, right? Because for me, it's all about constant process improvement, and the more that I'm testing, the more that I can learn. So once I have my foundation laid, then I can just start stacking on top of it, right? You don't want to do that until you actually have a nice foundation laid. It's no different than building a house, right? You got to have that foundation to have something to build on top of. Otherwise, what are you building? You know what I mean? All right, gang. Again, I don't know how far out this is. I do have a guy who's kind of just started working on it, and we'll see what this first version looks like. But clearly, I'm going to keep you guys posted, and I'm going to get. I've already got people testing this last iteration of the software, and it seems like it's going really, really well. And I know this person has been testing his tail off this weekend, so I'm excited to touch base with him on Monday. All right, gang, hope you've had a great weekend. Catch you next week. Oh, and just so you guys know, I'm going to be out of town all next week from Tuesday to Friday. It's not a vacation, but I will most likely be away from YouTube. So hope you guys have a great week.